See my friend, I got to know all this journey. Our journey, fighting. We get Kanakas on the other side, fighting against the Wailea, developing more and more and more for the tourists. No Kanaka go over there. I used to go on the beach slaving for the tourists. Can I get you some water, sir? Let me get you umbrella. Oh, $25. But anyway, I used to work and I never know the Grand Wailea had all this EV. Until Clarence blew my mind. I said, what? I used to work inside it. They don't tell any Kanakas to get EV. But anyway, I'm a Portuguese. Mamari is remember that, not me. It skips a generation. I'd like to introduce you to very important people that are on our side. Because the Kanakas getting paid on the other side. The ones that, Meula and what's her name?
Chip Chase.
Hauna Kea Trash. That's right, I said it. Hauna Kea Trash. Right like that one. Yeah, remember that fucking cow? Skip it. Anyway, he was trying, honey, my brother. He tell him, anyway. You gotta love these people. They're on our side. So when we get our country back, you guys can stay Waikiki. On the beach, surf every day, nobody out. Or fish, lobster, you lady, whatever. Okay, introduce it to you guys without further ado. Brother Ryan Hurley and Bianca Isaki.
I thought it was Lance Collins. No.
Aloha mai. Thanks for inviting us both. Ryan, how you want to do this? Do you want to meet?
You talk about your thing, I'll talk about mine.
Okay, the thing is that I got a lot of things, and this is all the fault of Clara Pana. But just real quick, I'm Bianca Isaki. I'm an attorney on Oahu. And it's funny because right now, like Kaui said, we're against Grand Wailea. Their main attorney was Bill Meheula, but he's also one of the reasons why I became an attorney. Because, I was an academic. I was studying in University of Illinois, and then the OHA versus State, OHA et al., can't forget John Osorio, versus State was going on 2008, 2009, and that was about whether or not the state could sell public trust ceded lands. And Bill was the attorney on the side of OHA, and I went to community meetings. I was like, oh, this is great. This is what I want to do. I don't want to just be studying stuff in school, which is important, but I was like, I want to actually do stuff that has to do with Hawaii. I don't want to talk about why Hawaii is important to the discipline. So that's one of the reasons why I came back, and then here we are, like on the other side of things. So people change. Well, I don't know, even with that OHA et al. Thing, I think Meheula ended up dumping John Osorio and other people, and then Euclid and Aluli, and I don't know if Hayden Aluli also ended up picking up them as clients. So they were the ones that were like, we're not settling, we are not going to let the state sell. But anyway, so that's not really about EV as much. So I started working with Claire and Malama Kakanilua back in 2017, I think. And it started out because this is in Maui Phase 9, they were unearthing EV, and I worked with Lance Collins. He was the main attorney on this, and we were like, hey, in the burial law or in the historic properties law, HRS Hawaii Revised Statute Chapter 6E, there's a provision, and it says any person can go to court and get an injunction if there's a violation of Chapter 6E of the Historic Properties Law. And that's really significant, because getting to court is not just you get an attorney, you get to go. There's so many barriers to getting to court. But this is something specifically for historic properties. It's 6E-13B. And so we were like, well, let's try it, because the archaeological consultancy is called Archaeological Services Hawaii, or ASH, under Lisa Rotano Hozuka. They were violating it. They were clear. They were supposed to be monitoring. We had many people take video and stuff and say look, there's nobody here. How except for the person in the bulldozer. So how could someone be monitoring? So we ended up we won on that part in court. It ended up but just on the fact that they needed to have people monitor. But an important thing that came out of that was that we also noticed that this Archaeological Services Hawaii, ASH, like their archaeologist was like an office manager with no qualifications, and the person that was on their permit had his own consultancy on Oahu. And so one thing that that Claire and folks pushed for was, let's challenge them, because how are they're not doing a good job. What are their qualifications? They're desecrating EV everywhere. So we asked for a contested case, which is another legal procedure, from the State Historic Preservation Division. So we want to challenge the Archaeological Services permit. And they were like, no, you can't do that. And so we went to court. And Second Circuit, Judge Cardoza said, no, actually, yeah, you can, because they have property rights. When you have constitutional rights, which Article 12, Section 7, the right to have the state protect the reasonable exercise of traditional cultural practices, that's a property right. So the judge said, yeah, you have a property right, you're supposed to get a contested case, go back. So we went back to the Board of Land and Natural Resources. Claire and Connie did the, Connie Loa Kamanu did the contested case pro se. It was denied, and this permit was issued again, and then they appealed that again. Anyway, went back to Second Circuit Court, they denied us, and then went back to the Intermediate Intermediate Court of Appeals, where I think it was March 2025, not too long ago, they issued a decision saying, well, that the Board of Land and Natural Resources should have found for Malama Kakani Loa. They should have found for Kani Loa, Kamanu, and Claire Kana, because they have an affirmative duty to protect traditional and customary practices. Which, I mean, that's in the Constitution, but now this is saying, like, in the context of like agency proceedings permitting archaeological services firms, which before they were like, whatever, we just give this out to anyone who could say they have a connection with someone with a degree, which is a problem. Now BLNR has to affirmatively make sure that, like, okay, this firm, are they not backlogged, especially on archaeological monitoring permits, which is what they were delinquent on. I think it was like at least 35 of those reports on their monitoring. And why is archaeological monitoring reporting important? Okay, so sorry, going back a little bit, this will take another 5 minutes. But okay, so before you start a project, you're supposed to do it, well, most of the time, if there might be historic properties, SHPE will require an archaeological inventory survey, and that's supposed to be done, and like you're really supposed to look really hard and make sure that you're not going to hit any EV. It's always they always hire consultants, and it's developers who are paying them, and mostly a lot of times they don't find anything, which is a huge problem, because if you find it during the survey phase, then it goes to Burial Council. Burial Council has jurisdiction, no question. But if you start digging and then you find EV, it's called an inadvertent find, and SHPE has jurisdiction. And at that point, though, it's like you're already, if anyone has done any construction or have, there's the timelines. You got concrete coming in, like you have contractors, you can't just like stop, oh, we found EV. So like you do have to stop at least for SHPE to come in and say like, it's okay, take it out, put it someplace else, or like put a buffer on it or something. It's not as meaningful, and it's on a very rushed timeline, so it's not good for only SHPE to have jurisdiction. So so that's why when you're constructing and you have archaeological monitoring, which they usually require if there might be historic properties, then you're supposed to do a report. And these people were delinquent in the report. ASH, Archaeological Services Hawaii, was delinquent in 35 of them. And this is important also because most developers, they don't just build one time and then never build again. So like with Grand Wailea, we have a record of an archaeological inventory survey that said, oh, we didn't find anything. They just like looked in the landscaping. But then you have an archaeological monitoring report that says they found like over 300 EV, plus like interviews with people saying there's like many, many, many more. So yeah, so those monitoring reports are important. And the ICA was like, yeah, no, that is really important, because how are you gonna know what they found during construction? And so now BLNR has to look a little harder at these things. I wish we had time for more questions, and maybe should we do questions and then move on? Okay, any questions on anything I said already?
No, not to her. I wanted to ask.
We're here to learn, so teach us.
Okay, and later on I want to talk a little bit about what they call scatter, because we also did some things on that issue, and but I'll save that for later if you guys are interested in talking about that.
Before we go, I will raise a point. I'm Lama Kumika Roy. I and my family were among the first to pull together our kupuna, or answer the kupuna of Hawaii Island, who stood in the 70s protesting the park at Kaloko. And now we know why. And so I bring this up because today, fast forward, it is the park. And I have much to say in my talk today. I have much to inform you folks about. There's much that has happened. But a part of it is that the ancestors, as you've been bringing forward wonderful testimony, have spoken to us and have shared that there are burials there from a battle that took place. And they have asked me to tell the parks what is desired by Akua. As a result, they ignore what I say. And as a result, NAGPRA comes in and they say that these are inadvertent fines. They're now previously known because I have brought this as far as November 3rd, 2014. They have had this information, and now we have even more information. Akua has said we expand this area to be 40 miles now. This is the base of Kalu'okalani that has come forward. This story began at Kaloko. Waihe'e was involved as a planning consultant then. When I saw him later on after being post-governor in Waimea, I walked in front of him and he says, "Oh, you are. I said, "Who will blow the poo? Who of you will blow this poo? You speaking for our people and our lands. Who will blow the poo?" Passing along the poo go along to all the staff. And especially he would not take that. Only afterwards did I identify myself. Too bad the mayor has gone. Is he gone?
Yes.
Because he needs to hear this. He was at a hearing where they wouldn't let me speak, civil being. They would not allow me to speak. I said, you know something? I put in my question just like you folks from Honolulu. I will speak. And they had to let me. And you know who was there? This mayor, who is now mayor, and all the candidates. Tupai, no, he wasn't there. It was just the two. And I wish he was here because he's the one, the mayor said, "I hear you." So let us remember that, because the mayor did say to me that night, "I hear you." Roth said nothing, but Mayor now said, "I hear you." I speak on this, and it's relevant here because these are the issues that are still before us. By the way, Akua says that both parks are going back to Hawaii. They are not. This is the movement of, and this mayor heard me. We gave movement to the birth of the restoration of the kingdom at Kaloko. That's where it began in May of 2024. I have the records, and the present day superintendent will deny all of these things. But I add to Polly and Jimmy's testimonies here and others here, but I just want to add to you that I wish the mayor had stayed, because he told me that very night, "I hear you." If he did, then he's going to have to remember that I said that the kingdom is restored by Akua at Kamakohonu. We are so blessed. The prayers of the Queen are answered. I have named 2 twin babies, and these are brothers that are now 13. Their names came to be Kaulana, the great appeal that went from the people to God at the time of the overthrow. Then next comes his baby brother, next and in line as a twin. And his name is Kapanelo Onalani, and it means the answers coming from the great heavens. Now, I say this, we are a people of spirit. If I ever was proud of being Oiwi before this, let me tell you, I burst with pride now. Oiwi are the ones that helped Akua lay the tracks for what became our faith. Life began here. Pali is right when he says we are here. We are here. We have always been here. He stands as an Oiwi. Others of you do the same. That's why I respect you. And I do too. So these people put batches of paper